Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus pilot, and welcome to today's video on how to use your side stick properly. And even though this is done with a bit of a focus on Airbus and the flight control laws of the Airbus, this video basically applies to any aircraft, from a Cessna 172 all the way up to a 747 and anything in between and outside, including the A380. So I know that there are a lot of videos online of people going wild on the side stick doing inputs like these when flying aircraft. As a matter of fact, you try to do that, your airplane isn't even gonna respond properly. So what is the correct way of handling your side stick then? And why is it that there are so many people who are doing it wrong? And that absolutely includes real-world aviation. So let's quickly start by discussing real-world aviation before going out for a traffic pattern over here and demonstrating how to do it right. Real-world aviation, why do people do this? Well, it's not that they would be single and used to such hand movement, no. It's a little bit more of a fact that when you are flying your airplane and you're on very short final, it becomes very easy to try and correct every single one gust that you might be encountering. At the same time though, people are often neglecting that aircraft have a natural tendency to return to their previous state. So often people feel a little bit of an input, then they react like that, they over control, then they gotta counter it, and then they end up in what we call pilot-induced oscillation, which is basically overcorrecting and then constantly going back left and right, trying to somehow get the airplane stabilized again. When that happens to you, just let go of the stick for a second. See what's gonna happen. You will notice the plane is just going to eventually roll out, then maybe do a slight input, return to where you want to go, and learn how your airplane reacts so that you can do proper input. Now, when former Boeing pilots convert onto Airbus, instructors are instructed to, yes, instructors are instructed, I just said that, they're instructed to teach them to handle the side stick properly and only do the small and deliberate items, deliberate inputs here, one at a time, then return the stick to neutral. But many are resistant to that type of training. So, hey, we can't blame the pilot, we gotta blame the instructor, right? Alright, so with that much in our minds, let's now have a look at how to do it right. The very easy way here is to do an input, wait until the plane goes where you want it to go, let go of the stick, return it to neutral, plane is going to maintain that pitch, or that bank. That's basically how the Airbus flight control laws work. When you start doing this, the computer will eventually do absolutely nothing on your control surfaces. So, they got it. That's how to fly an airplane properly. Now let's go ahead and start our traffic pattern and see how that's gonna go. So I will zoom out a little bit here. You may not be able to read the instruments properly if you don't have a 42-inch screen, but look outside, see how the airplane is reacting. That's the much easier thing to do in my opinion anyway. Alright, and now let's add a little bit of power here and let's go flying. So, half forward stick input, steady input, and take off. Manflex, SRS, runway, auto thrust blue, and thrust set. Also have a look at my rudder pedals here to maintain the center line. You can see I'm pretty much not doing an input. Alright, reaching 100 knots, stick comes back to neutral.
V1.
Rotate. Again, stick back until it comes up and then just hold it. That's all you need to do. Constant rate of rotation, positive climb, gear up. So, 12.5 degrees initial pitch, stick to neutral, hold it. See? The plane flies. It may do some small inputs here when it enters a thermal or when it enters a gust, but the computer is gonna correct for them. And even in a non-fly-by-wire aircraft, the airplane is still going to correct for that type of stuff. Alright, so let's level off in 3000 feet here. Again, small and deliberate input. So, speed alt. Alright, so activating the approach phase as we're about to fly a traffic pattern. And that way the plane is going to maintain the airspeed. Alright, now let's turn off the flight director. And we go on to LS. And onto the velocity vector. Initiating the right-hand turn, again, one smooth, constant input. Got the desired angular bank, perfect. Let go of the side stick. And you can see, no inputs at all, plane flies absolutely perfectly. If we need to make a small correction here, like a couple hundred feet a minute rate of climb or descent, look at that. Small input to the stick, wait for the reaction, release the stick, that's it. Don't do anything abrupt or anything absurd on the stick. Now correcting the bank angle, again, smooth and deliberate input. Get the plane where you want it to go. You're the one telling the plane where to fly, not the other way around. Alright, we're approaching the end of the turn here. We'll roll out on about a 250 heading. And all we do is a constant and deliberate input. Overshot slightly, no problem. Overshoot a bit into the other direction, roll back, 260, here we go, and here we go. Alright, perfect. So, with that, we've got the airplane nicely under control. Let's quickly move down here and clean up our flight plan. That's going to be a direct to the Fox India 08 right, course in, 079, insert. Looking good. I did already fill out the entire performance page. Why is the plane descending? Shouldn't be doing that. Let's pitch back up again. On smooth and deliberate input down there. Looking for about 2.5 miles offset from the center line for our pattern. And again, you can see I'm not doing any input on the stick at all. The plane flies itself. If it doesn't, there's something wrong. In this case, for some reason, it keeps pitching forward a little bit every now and then. I don't know why it's doing that. It's not supposed to do that. Alright, so at 2.5 miles offset, let's turn downwind, heading 260. And once we got the downwind heading, level it off. Like that, easy going. So, chrono is prepared. We are about to beam the landing runway. Start the timing, 45 seconds, and then we'll turn base. Now again, you can see I'm not doing any inputs on the stick down here. We simply let the airplane fly, and you can see it's doing that perfectly. Now, when we're getting towards the final, there are a couple of things that we gotta take into consideration. Of course, as we're getting closer to the ground, you will need to do a little bit more stick input than you need to do in a flight phase like this right now. So, a bit more input is absolutely fine on the final, but you need to avoid getting into those pilot-induced oscillations. Those are really only gonna cause trouble for you, because you're eventually only fighting yourself and not even the weather at all. So, flaps 2. And then we are now 50 seconds out with 4 knots of headwind. Let's turn base. As we're turning base, we can see the glide slope appear down there. And you can see again, I'm not doing any inputs on my stick. So we'll start descending ever so slightly so that we get onto the glide slope. And then let's go gear down. So spoilers are on, glides are on, perfect. So here's the glide slope. Let's roll wings level again, one smooth and constant input. And when we're about a mile from the center line, as we can see down here, then and only then we will start our final turn here. 170 knots, and here we go. Let's turn final. Right, flaps 3. We're on the glide slope, so pushing slightly forward, and then letting go of the stick again. And flaps 4. When you're doing a real-world Airbus type rating, your instructors will be monitoring you, and they will look at every single input on the stick that you are doing. And eventually they will even give you printouts that are going to tell you exactly how well you did. Now we're approaching the center line. You can see again one constant and smooth stick input. Alright, on the glide slope, let's aim for the pitch. The power will be handled automatically on today's purposes by the auto thrust. And look at how nicely we are turning onto the final now. So, as we're getting closer to the runway, you are allowed to use a little bit stronger stick input.
500.
But look at how I can really keep it smooth without an input at all. Right now I don't even have my hand on the stick. The plane does what it's supposed to do. Of course, as we're going through some over some hills and stuff, through some thermals, we might need to do corrections every now and then.
300.
But you can see how small those are on my side stick. Basically not touching it at all. Unless I'm doing a very small correction, then I'm just touching it, letting go again. And a little bit to the right again. Again, smooth input, then return the stick to neutral. Works very well.
50.
Alright, one
30,
smooth flare.
retard.
Idle.
10. 5.
A little bit of rudder. And we have touchdown. Easy, isn't it? Okay, so for some reasons the reversers don't want to come on. Probably some assignment problem here on my side. Let's do manual brakes. And you can see that's about all there is to it. With those super light inputs, you can fly the airplane absolutely perfectly. Obviously I had disabled most turbulences for the purpose of today's video. But if you were flying through turbulences, only do as small of a correction as is absolutely necessary to get your airplane back under control and back where you want it to go. And that's how they'll teach you to fly an airplane in the real world. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Leave your feedback in the comments underneath, really looking forward to that. As always, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, and with that I'm really looking forward to see you all again on the next one.